Hey there, Regina Andler here, and it's time for Tips and Tricks Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about asking. Ask, ask, ask. Do you like to ask people for help, for coming into your business, clients, that kind of thing? Do you pick up the phone and call and ask somebody to help you? A lot of us are actually scared of asking. Why is that? Why are we so afraid to ask for what we want? Well, for the most part, most of us have this fear of rejection. We don't want to be told no. And here's the thing, no is a perfectly acceptable answer when you ask for something. It doesn't matter what you're asking for. All you need to do is actually go out and ask. The whole idea of being scared of asking is holding you back from reaching your goals. So, why don't we ask? Mostly because it's outside of our comfort zone. When we ask for something, we're admitting that we need help, we don't know how to do something, we're admitting that we need somebody to help us out. And we don't like to do that. Our egos don't like to admit that they need help. So, what is the key to asking? What do you do? What is it that you can do to help yourself be more comfortable asking? Well, first the thing is that understand. Now I know you know this, right? You don't know everything. You know that, right? You don't know everything there is to know about everything, right? How do you learn? You learn by asking. When we were kids, oh my gosh, think of a 5-year-old. How come? Why not? How come? It's why? They're constantly asking. That's how you learn. At some point, we're told, oh my gosh, will you stop asking? And so we learn that asking isn't a good thing. So we have this belief that we shouldn't ask, we should know. And the thing is that that's not true. And it's certainly not true if you're, as an adult, if you're running a business, you're just doing life in general, you need to ask. We all need help from time to time. And asking is a good thing. Asking is you opening up and stepping outside that comfort zone and being a little vulnerable. That's another thing, that when we ask, we're a little vulnerable and we're putting ourselves out there because we're admitting that we don't know something. So, what if you started looking at asking for help or asking for anything, asking for that big client, asking for that that huge name to be on your podcast, or that person to help you out, or asking for help moving? Why don't we want to ask? There's nothing wrong with asking for help. You know, the thing is that you want to pay attention to the words that you use when you ask. A lot of times we get tied up and we aren't clear on what we're asking for. And we don't necessarily get the answer that we want. So a lot of times the answer might be no, because we didn't ask really what we were looking for. We kind of sugarcoated it. Okay. So when we sugarcoat what we want, chances are pretty good that you might not get it. So, how do you go about asking in a way that you get what you want? Now, the first thing to understand is when you ask, the answer is not always going to be yes. So, the first rule of asking is to understand that no is a perfectly acceptable response from the other person that you're asking, and be okay with that. It's okay. Move on. Be clear on what it is that you're asking for, and be careful about the words that you're using. So instead of saying something like, I want more help around the house, you're talking to your spouse or one of your kids, and you say, I want more help around the house. Instead of saying that, be more specific. I want you to take the trash out and do the dishes this week. That's more specific, more targeted. It really tells them, here's what I want you to do. So being clear and using the right words is a big thing. Also, make sure that you're not asking for what you don't want. A lot of us say, well, I don't want this, or I don't want that. So instead of saying something like, well, I don't like the way you talk to me, you could say something like, I would appreciate it if you spoke to me in a more calm and peaceful manner when you're upset. If somebody's upset and they're speaking to you and it's not a nice way, don't say, I don't want you to speak like that. Tell them how you would like them to speak with you. Yeah, Velma, yeah, thanks. Ask, always seeking knowledge. That's what asking is all about. It's really about learning. It's about getting the help you need and learning something new, or, it's all that stuff all tied in together. And so when you go out and you ask, there's 3 tips that I have for you today. And the first tip is ask with commitment. And that, what I mean by that is, what do you actually want? Be specific. Instead of I want help around the house, I want you to do the dishes and take out the trash this week. Be specific on what you want. And then tip number 2 is to ask with confidence. A lot of us are like, well, what do you think? Can you help me? Is that okay? Ask with confidence. Say, here's what I need, and I would like your help with this. And let them know that you are confident about what you're asking for. You're clear about what you're asking for. Actually, when you're clear about what you're asking for, that brings you the confidence. So be clear, ask with that commitment, and you will bring the confidence with you when you ask. Because, what's the worst thing that they can say? No. Okay, move on. So what? Next. What is it? Some will, some won't. So what next? Who cares if they say no, right? And the last one is to ask without any expectations. So when we ask, one of the things that really gets us anxious about asking is that we really want them to say yes. If you remove the expectation of the response, then it builds your confidence. You go in with okay, so they might say yes, they might say no. Either way, all good. If they say yes, great. If they say no, I'm going to go on to the next person and I'm going to ask them. When you learn in your head to be okay with all of that, then asking is a breeze. So those are my 3 tips for asking today. Ask for what you want. Don't sit back and hide and expect the other person to just, magically understand what you want. We aren't mind readers. If you want something, ask for it. And ask with commitment, ask with confidence, and ask with no expectations. Those are my tips for today on Tip Tuesday. We'll see you next week at 10 o'clock for our next tips and tricks. Bye for now.